Today, I am diagnosing all of your meal prep failures and telling you how to fix them. Because if you have ever spent painstaking hours in the kitchen on a Sunday, neatly filling up boxes and containers with pretty food only to throw it away a week later, you are not the only one. But over my time in the kitchen over the last 20 or so years, I have found the best way to meal prep, and I'm sharing all of those secrets with you today. Now, you're probably gonna think that I'm a little bit crazy, but you just have to take my word for it. The number one thing that has saved my meal prep game and helped me, both me and my family, eat the meals that I prep is this little label maker. This, combined with clearly labeled clear containers of what you have in the fridge, just makes things so much easier to grab and more appetizing to eat, because you know exactly what's in the container, exactly when it's good by, and it almost feels like a store-bought meal prep, or like a meal prep that someone else made for you. I know it sounds silly. I'm right there with you, but this totally changes the game. And so there's two types of containers that I really like, or two sizes rather. The other thing I think is that you really want to use clear containers when possible. That can either be glass or plastic. Anything I mention in this video, I'll link in the description box below. But the reason why I like these plastic clear containers, especially for cold items that you don't have to reheat, is that they are dishwasher safe. And in fact, I've run them through the dishwasher many times, but they're also inexpensive enough that if you leave one at work or one gets thrown away, it's not a huge deal. The other great thing is that the square labels that come out of here are perfectly sized for these containers, whether it's the 2-cup ones or the 4-cup ones, and you can actually see the food that is inside. The second thing, and this probably sounds like common sense, but I feel like we don't often think of it when we're trying to meal prep, is like, especially if you're meal prepping for your family, or even if you're meal prepping for yourself, think about things that you really like to eat, things that you're gonna be excited to eat. The first thing that I'm gonna prep today is some salmon. Both my kids love salmon. I like salmon. Actually, my husband doesn't like salmon, but he doesn't have to eat it. It's something that if I prep it in the fridge, it consistently gets eaten. No one ever gets tired of it. And so that's the kind of thing you want to think about when you're doing a meal prep. So I got all of these ingredients from Hungry Root. They're actually sponsoring today's video. Honestly, I feel like one of the hardest parts of meal prep is just figuring out what to cook, right? And Hungry Root solves that problem for you, because every week you can scroll through tons and tons of recipes for all different diets, all different tastes, all different methods of cooking. And I love using Hungry Root for meal prep because it takes all of the deciding out of what to make for me. I also love that I can try new things and then also get my favorites. One of my favorites that I always get in every order from Hungry Root is these breakfast tamales. They're so good and they make a really quick breakfast, but I'm also going to make, next up for meal prep, these chicken shawarma style thighs with some naan and garlic sauce, which is another one of my favorites that I always add to my order. Hungry Root keeps getting more personalized by learning your tastes and your dietary needs over time. So it kind of learns what you want and keeps refining what you get in your box. They have over 50,000 chef-crafted recipes, many of which can be made in under 15 minutes or less. Also, all their meat and seafood is high quality with no hormones or antibiotics, and Hungry Root's quality standard doesn't slip, so you know what to expect. Hungry Root is one of those things that I don't realize how much that I rely on it for meal prepping until I don't have it, and then I really miss it. And it also means that I don't have to think about what I'm gonna meal prep or what's for lunch or dinner with the busy back to school season that is fast coming up. I know that you guys are gonna love Hungry Root just as much as I do. So for a limited time, Hungry Root is offering 40% off your first box. Plus, you get a free item in each box for life. You can click the link below or go to hungryroot.com and use code JEN. That's 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life at hungryroot.com with code JEN. I seriously hope you guys try it out, plus take advantage of that 40% off coupon code. That is a huge, huge savings for your first box. I have these Atlantic salmon fillets. I love these that come from Hungry Root because they're skinless and that's how we prefer them. Then I don't have to worry about taking the skin off. I've also got this garlic an herb seasoning, which is really good. So we're gonna season the salmon with that, and then we're gonna pair it with this cilantro lime rice, which is super easy because it's already made in a packet. And then I also have a cucumber, so I'm gonna make a little bit of a cucumber salad to go with that. So a lot of times when I make salmon, I do like to pan sear it, but I feel like tonight I just wanna maybe do it a little bit easier, not make a mess of my stove, and I will just roast it in the oven. So I took these salmon fillets, and a lot of times when I do seafood, I do like to rinse it and dry it. We're gonna go ahead and season these. I'm just gonna drizzle these with a little bit of olive oil, just enough so the spices and the salt can stick. This particular spice blend does not have salt in it. It's garlic, parsley, paprika, onion, orange peel, oregano, thyme, rosemary, and chives. I actually like it when I get spice blends that don't have any salt, because then I feel like I can control the amount of salt myself. I also feel like lemon would be really good with this spice blend, so we're just gonna add a touch of that also. We're gonna season both sides of this. I want it to be flavorful, but obviously I don't want it to be overly strong. It does not have pepper in it, so I'm gonna add some black pepper. And then we'll just flip these and season the other side. I actually have some left, and I'm gonna save this for the steak that I'm gonna prep. Okay, and then my other little bit of lemon. We'll just turn these back over so that they're, I think I had them right side up, yeah. Okay, and then these are gonna go in a 400-degree oven for about 10 to 12 minutes, or until they're just cooked through. Specifically for stuff like salmon, obviously when you heat it back up in the microwave, it's gonna continue to cook a little bit. So just make sure that it's a little bit underdone than you typically like it, or that it's not, definitely not overdone. I think you guys have seen me make this cucumber salad 700,000 times. So if I haven't convinced you to make it yet, please make it. It's so good. I've got 2 tablespoons of white sugar in this bowl. I added about a teaspoon of sesame oil. We're gonna add half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 cup of rice vinegar, some crushed red pepper flake, not a whole ton. You can add as much as you want. This is for my kids, so I'm not gonna make it super spicy. And you just wanna whisk this up. If I have them on hand, I like to add some sliced green onions to this, but I don't right now. However, I do have these garlic chives that my sister gave me from her garden, so we're gonna use these instead. If you don't have green onions, you can use white onion, you can use chives, you can use red onion, you can leave it out. Also, cilantro is really good in this too. Okay, and then the last thing is just to add the sliced cucumber. If you don't have one of these little slicers, you can just slice it with a knife, but I really like the way that this OXO mandolin works, because it makes them all like thin and uniform. Okay, so we got our cucumbers in there. I'm just gonna stir this around so that all of the cucumbers are covered in that vinegar mixture. And then that's it. This will actually keep in the fridge for like 2 to 3 days. Obviously they just kind of turn into like little pickled cucumbers, but you can taste and see if you need to add more salt. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna set this to the side and wait for the salmon to finish baking. Okay, so we'll have 4 salmon meal preps. So I just packed these. I think these are 4-ounce containers with lids. And it's great because obviously you're gonna have to heat the salmon and rice up, but you don't need to heat the cucumbers up. So then when you pack it in the container, it's super easy to just take this out before you pop it in the microwave. That's another thing to think of, is especially when you are meal prepping, is to keep components separate that need to be either heated separately or kept cold. Okay, so our salmon is done. I'm just gonna obviously let this cool before I go to pack it into containers. You don't want to obviously pack things into containers when they're super hot. So since I've got 4 servings of salmon, and there's really only 2 servings of rice in here. For the other 2, I'm gonna make these microwave baked potatoes that Hungry Root sent me. These are super convenient because they come in a package and all you have to do is pop them in the microwave for the amount of time. It says for 2 potatoes, 12 minutes. So I'm gonna pop those in there. All right, so I'm gonna grab 4 containers. Now, obviously this rice is already pre-cooked, which means that I don't have to cook it and it will just cook whenever the meals are reheated. So I'm gonna take half, put it in here, the other half in here, piece of salmon, another piece of salmon, cucumbers. I'm gonna grab the potatoes. Okay, our potatoes are done. So I'm just gonna kind of split these open and then just put butter, salt, and pepper. Whoever's having them, if they want to add sour cream or something, obviously later after they're heated up, they can do that. A little bit of pepper, salt, cucumbers. Oops, I just broke that piece of salmon, but that's fine. And there we go. We've got our 4 salmon meal preps. Yum. So I want to show you how the label maker works. So there's an app for it, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this because it's very hard to capture a phone screen on a camera, but basically I've created a template for my meal prep, and it just has the name, what it contains, and then the use by date and instructions. So I'll obviously fill all of that in for these meals. All right, so then once I have my labels set, then I just do print. I'm gonna make 2 copies, and it just prints right from your phone, or yeah, right from your phone like this. The labels are perfect sized for the containers. So this says roasted salmon contains salmon, baked potato, cucumbers, and then I just have the use by date on there as well as the instructions. So typically for our microwave, I usually say heat for 2.5 minutes. I labeled this one wrong, so I need to switch that around. Also, the stickers come like right off of these. They're super easily removable. Even if you put them on glass containers, I've found that they're very easily removable also. Okay, so now all I have to do is pop the lids on, stick these in the fridge. Like, doesn't this just seem so much more exciting and appetizing to eat? I don't care. Okay, listen, I don't care if it's a mind trick. I don't care if it's a mind trick. We gotta do what we gotta do. So the next thing that I'm gonna meal prep are these shawarma style chicken thighs. I have gotten these so many times from Hungry Root and they are delicious. I'm gonna make these, prep them with some of this naan, and then also included in the recipe is this garlic sauce, which is really good, drizzled on top of the chicken on the naan. So I've just got a pan here. I'm gonna put this over medium to medium high heat, add just a drizzle of oil. And then once that heats up, I'll add the chicken and cook it until it's done, breaking it up as it cooks. The best part, I think, about getting proteins like these is that they're already seasoned or marinated. So it takes that whole step out of it and just makes the cooking super, super quick. And this really doesn't take long at all, maybe just like 2 or 3 minutes on each side. Okay, so you can see this chicken is getting a little bit of color on it and all of the liquid is evaporated. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat off and then we'll just let it sit and cool here for a little bit. And I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna pack up the containers. Okay, so I decided to be a little bit extra with this one because I feel like I want some veggies on the side of my shawarma chicken. So I raided my fridge, and in this bowl, I have like the leftover carton of cherry tomatoes that I had, a cucumber that my sister gave me from her garden, some chopped parsley, some slices of a scrap of a red onion that I had, as well as some feta. And then I just seasoned this with olive oil, salt, and pepper. And I think this is gonna make a perfect side for the naan and the chicken and the garlic sauce. I'm just gonna let me just give it a taste and make sure that doesn't need any more seasoning. Just a tiny bit more salt and some pepper, drizzle more olive oil, Yum. Okay, let's pack up these boxes. Okay, so I also have these containers, which I really like. These are like paper, I guess, craft, I don't know what you call them, containers. They're disposable, but the reason I like them is because they're perfect for a salad or something you don't have to reheat. I guess you could reheat in these. I think the lids probably, I probably wouldn't put the lid in the microwave, but you could cover this with something else and heat it up. But these are like the perfect size to do meal prep salads in. So I cut up some of my naan, but what I'm gonna do is we'll add half of the chicken to each one. Also, I don't know if I probably haven't discussed this for a while on my channel, but I have been on a GLP-1 for, I don't know, a little over a year now. And I find that like specifically with Hungry Root, the portions are really perfect for that. Okay, so we've got our chicken, and then I'm kind of going to make a barrier with the naan. And then on the other side, I'll add the salad. I don't think I'm gonna heat this chicken up. I'm probably just gonna eat it cold. So that's why I'm kind of packing it all like this. But obviously, if you want to heat yours back up, then do it different. And then we just put that garlic sauce on the top. This is what I mean when I say you need to meal prep something that you're excited to eat. For me, this is like the definition of that, right? So here's our meal. I'm gonna go ahead and make my labels. All right, so we're just gonna pop the lids on here. You do have to make sure these lids are sealed. And we'll put our labels on. Boom, done. Less than 15 minutes. Delicious. If there's anything I am always excited to eat for meal prep, it's some type of like meat and mashed potatoes. So I have 3 potatoes. I'm gonna go ahead and peel and cube these. Mashed potatoes are actually super quick if you cut them very small. And then I also have this turkey Florentine meatloaf that Hungry Root sent me. You can cook this either in, it's actually like a sous vide meatloaf. It's very good. I've had it multiple times before. So you can either cook it in the oven or in a pot of boiling water. I'm gonna do it in the microwave just to save time. And then they also sent me this beef ribeye steak. So I'm gonna season this and cook it off. So I'll make 2 meals with the meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and then 1 with the ribeye steak and mashed potatoes. So for the meatloaf, all you have to do is poke some holes in the bag. I'm gonna stick this in the microwave for about 5 minutes. Okay, so took me like 3 minutes to peel and cube the potatoes. You can see I cubed them into like less than 1-inch pieces. I salted the water really well, and then we'll just bring these to a boil over high heat. Once it comes to a boil, you just want to check. It should just take about 10 to 15 minutes until these are tender. Okay, I took the steak out of the package, dried it off. We're gonna go ahead and salt, and then use the remainder of that garlic and herb seasoning, kind of pat it in there. Typically when I meal prep steak, I will cook it to like medium or medium rare maybe, and then let it rest and then slice it before I pack it in the meal prep container. Just because obviously the other thing you want to think about when you're meal prepping, like this is something Adam will probably take for lunch to work. And if he's gonna eat steak, it's probably better if it's sliced, right? Because he's not gonna probably have a steak knife at work, you know, and a regular fork to cut the steak. All right, so I've got a skillet here for the steak. I'm gonna heat that over medium heat with a bit of oil. We'll let that heat up. Okay, let's add our steak. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and flip this. A nice crust on it, and then I'm gonna go ahead and tent it with foil and then turn the heat down just a little because it's thicker and I wanna make sure it cooks through. Okay, so you just wanna check these potatoes and they're fork tender, so they're done. I like to use this little clip-on strainer. Let me go ahead and strain these off. Okay, and then as I'm mashing these, I'm gonna do it over like very low heat. If I was doing this properly, I would warm my half and half and my butter, but I don't have time for that right now. I have a little bit of softened butter, which I'm gonna add, and then a few more tablespoons. I already added quite a bit of salt to the water that the potatoes were boiled in, so I'm not gonna add any salt until I taste the mashed potatoes, but I'm just gonna do this the old-fashioned way with a potato masher. You could also use an electric hand mixer if you want to. Okay, so I think I got all the chunks out of there. We will just stir these up, and then I'm gonna give these a taste. You always have to taste your mashed potatoes to make sure they're seasoned properly. Tiny little splash of half and half. You can use milk if you want. It's just, I ordered groceries the other day and I literally ordered a pint of half and half and they gave me like a half gallon. So I need to figure out ways to use it. These should be perfect. Let's give it one more taste. Who doesn't love mashed potatoes? Okay, so we're gonna let these cool for a bit before we pack them up. And I have my steak resting over here. You can see I'm gonna let that rest for, I don't know, a couple more minutes before I slice it up. All right, so this steak is cool. I'm gonna go ahead and slice it up now. Oh, I think that's like perfect. Okay, so whenever I prep a lunch for Adam, he always likes it in a glass container because they have what's called a hot box at work, which is basically something that, like, it's just like what it sounds like. It heats your lunch like slowly throughout the entire morning. So he wants it in a glass container. So let's put the steak over the mashed potatoes. And then we also have this juice that's left on the plate from resting the steak. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour that over. And then this will be his lunch for tomorrow. I asked him and he said he keeps A1 at work, so yum. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do my turkey meatloaf prep in these containers. So I'll take the rest of the mashed potatoes and add those. And then after the meatloaf heated up in the microwave in the bag, I just sliced it on plate after it cooled. We'll add that. I wanna make sure I get that sauce. I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of ground turkey in general, but this turkey Florentine meatloaf that Hungry Root has, highly recommend it. And then this is random, but I have this leftover broccoli that I steamed the other night. And I'm a fan of some green veggies with my meals, so I'm just gonna split this up. This is just basically steamed broccoli, and then my sister had given me some like lemon basil butter, and so I had put the butter over the broccoli, and we'll just add that. We'll snap the lid on and print our labels. Okay, so here is everything I prepped. We've got our 4 salmon meals, 2 with rice, 2 with baked potato, 2 turkey meatloaves. I can't show you the steak because Adam took that to work this morning. I also got these pancake bites from Hungry Root, and these are super convenient. You can just heat them up in the microwave and they send them with a little syrup. I didn't show you guys this. I prepped this the other day for my sister, but I had made some falafel and some tomato cucumber salad, and then I just put it in these little divided containers with some grapes. I still need to make some tzatziki today and fill that up, and I'll probably put some feta in here also. And then this was leftovers from last night. I made this lemon pasta from Trader Joe's and put an Alfredo sauce on it with some grilled chicken. And then we have our chicken shawarma meal preps as well. Let me know in the comments below which one of these recipes you want to try. And don't forget to tap that link in the description box to get that 40% off your first Hungry Root box. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.